old like Blackberries with the scroll wheel. You've got sliders and clamshells and flip phones. So it's really a matter of finding what you really fit your taste. And there's a lot more options out there for Windows mobile phones than there are for Blackberries. You'll find, though, too, that you've got to really look at who you want for your phone carrier, because not all carriers carry the same phones. And we're going to close with some great tips, tricks, and tools that you can use, listing some of those programs that we may have skimmed over earlier. Some of the other remote office connections that we didn't mention earlier, they have free modes, and some of them have paid for service modes also. There's called Log Me In and Go to My PC and iRemote PC. Now these are all those programs that you install at your office computer, and then you dial into their website from wherever you're at, and it makes the connection for you through their website. Now I've got our admin and VNC up here, but I've done a strike through on them, and the reason is, those really aren't to be used for remote access connections. They're more for remote administration for your IT people. Reason being, typically they have to have a hole open in your firewall for them to work. They don't have printing capabilities. Up until recently, they didn't even have capability to do dual screens. So these solutions are good. They're not really suited for more than a few users too, though, because just like the desktop-to-desktop connection we mentioned earlier, it requires an open Office PC to be used as well. We talked about Microsoft Office OneNote, and I want to make sure everybody realizes you don't have to have a tablet for OneNote. It's great on desktop PCs. I used it on my desktop PC for the longest time before I got a tablet for taking my notes and meetings. Some things you can do with it, though, are you can actually record your meeting in an audio form. I don't know how they do it, but it's very intelligent, so you can actually type in a search word, and it'll find it in the audio. If you have a whole meeting recorded in audio and you're typing along with it, as you're listening to the audio, it'll actually highlight the part of your notes that corresponded with when that stuff was being said. So as you're reading through, the audio and what you typed stays in sync. And you've got the ability, it's built right into the program, to have your notes synced up on multiple computers. So you don't have to worry about lots of special and time-consuming setup. It's got that capability built right in, because I use OneNote on my desktop and on my tablet, and wherever I'm whatever I'm editing is always on the other when I get there. Now, I talked a lot about remote desktop connections, or the RDP, through this. To get the most out of it and to make your remote working experience as productive as possible, I've kind of outlined some settings here that you really want to stick to. And it might sound weird that you want to optimize your connection for a 28.8 modem, because that's 8 years old. But what that does is that minimize all the stuff that goes over the screen. Because remember, the RDP, all it passes over your internet connection is what's being shown on the screen. Well, using this setting, it gets rid of a lot of those advanced display features, like the pretty shading on your menus and the pop-up and fade features and things like that XP and Vista have. If you don't need it, you want to disable your sound. Because with RDP, you can actually have sound transferred through to the computer you're working from. Sound and smart card integration are on there as a default. So by disabling those, you're freeing up the processing power on the computer you're connecting to. Display settings on the computer you're working from should also be minimized. And setting that to the lowest color depth that looks good for you is gonna just make that communication that much quicker. Built into the new version of RDP, which version 6.0, it's got the capability for multiple monitors, which is a great new addition. That version's built into Vista, and it's a free download for XP users. So what I want to do is show you some of those settings that can be accessed through your RDP connection. I know there are a lot of them there, and they were pretty complicated. So when I mentioned setting your connection for modem at 28.8, you'll see you've got a lot of pre-filled drop-downs. Choosing the different ones selects different options. So again, you want to use the 28.8 option, which all it does is bitmap caching, or that's kind of like the remembering of pictures, so it doesn't have to always display pictures over and over and over. The local resources is where you do the sound, because for sound you can say bring the sound to my computer from the remote computer or leave it there. Choosing do not play will actually turn it off and save some processing power. Under more, this is where you can turn off the smart cards and the serial ports and other drive mappings. Again, turning all these off that you're not going to use is going to make your connection as fast as possible. And then under display, this is where you would turn your color depth down to as low as you would like. Now turning it to 256 colors, that makes it kind of look like the old Windows 95 and Windows 3.1. So I usually go with 15-bit, which is the lowest that I think still looks good. For your VPNs, the best solution out there for VPNs are Cisco PIX or Cisco ASA. There's also another Cisco box that's just made for VPNs called a concentrator, which is good if you have a very, very large amount, 50 VPNs or more. Cisco's have the built-in capability to do VPN at no extra cost, which is one of the reasons why we do like and recommend those and why so many agencies use them. Other devices like WatchGuard, Sonic Walls, they actually require extra license you have to purchase to be able to use them for VPN. And a very new but important note for VPNs is when you're out buying a new computer and you're getting Windows Vista on it, a lot of them with more than 4 gigs of memory are coming on 64-bit Windows Vista. And that's a big no-no for people that need a VPN. So you want to avoid 64-bit Windows Vista. If you're looking at a machine at Best Buy, you need to make sure that if you're going to be working remotely, you don't want to use 64-bit right now, because the Cisco software does not work on 64-bit. Terminal servers, some other cool tips and tricks for that is you can do all the same stuff that we just showed in that RDP demo, but right from the server. So it overrides all the client settings, and you don't have to worry about managing that on every remote PC you have. There's a great program out there for your terminal servers called SplitView, which can make working remotely so much more productive because it makes a terminal server connection multi-monitor, but it works just like a multi-monitor setup at your office would. It's easy to set up and manage, and you can purchase it for your whole server, which is pretty inexpensive, or if you don't have a lot of users, you can just purchase it by user for a little bit of cost savings. Some other great tools for terminal servers, there's one called ThinPrint, and what it does is it simplifies the printing setup. It basically does all the handling of the printers between you and your server, and it makes multifunctions work.